Today, I'm going to tell you something I never imagined I would experience at 75 years old. The day I lost everything I built in my life. And when I knocked on my daughter's door looking for shelter, she looked at me as if I were a burden. And when her husband called me homeless, right there on the porch, I realized I needed to escape. And that there was only one person in the world capable of helping me. Someone no one imagined still had my number. What happened next changed my entire family's life. But before I continue, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching this story from? The rain was falling hard that Tuesday in October, when I finally arrived in front of my daughter Brooke's house in Surrey, British Columbia. It wasn't a gentle, cleansing rain. It was a cold, driving rain that felt personal. As if the sky itself was weeping with a fury I could only just begin to feel inside myself. My clothes were soaked through, the heavy wool of my old coat, a sodden mass against my skin. My hair, usually neatly pinned up, was plastered to my face in gray-streaked strands, and every drop that ran down my forehead felt like a tear I didn't have the strength to shed. The small suitcase I managed to save from the wreckage weighed on my shoulder as if it carried my entire life inside. Because that's exactly what it carried. All 75 years of it, condensed into a few kilograms of someone else's discarded clothes and a cracked phone. 3 days earlier, my house had exploded. The phrase still sounds unreal, like something from a movie or a news report about someone else's tragedy, not mine. My little house, the one with the rose bushes I had planted 30 years ago. The one with the squeaky floorboard in the hallway that I always meant to fix but never did. The one that held the ghost of my husband's laughter and the echoes of my children's childhood. It was gone, obliterated by a gas leak. I woke up in the middle of the night to a smell that was sharp and chemical, a smell that screamed danger. I remember fumbling for my glasses, my heart hammering against my ribs, a primal instinct telling me to run. I got as far as the end of the hallway before the world turned white. The explosion threw me into the backyard, a ragdoll flung against the old oak tree. When I woke up in the hospital, the lights were too bright, the sounds too loud, and a kind-faced nurse was patting my hand. "You're lucky to be alive," she said, her voice soft with pity. Lucky. I looked at her, at the sterile white walls of the room, at the 4 dripping fluids into my arm, and I wanted to ask her what kind of luck leaves you with nothing but the hospital gown you're wearing and a bandage on your head. What kind of luck erases a lifetime? I had no house, no clothes, no photos of my children as babies, no paintings I'd bought on vacation, no furniture that held memories, nothing. The only thing I could think about, a ridiculous, trivial detail in the face of such total loss, was my husband David's watch. It was a simple, silver Timex he had worn every day of our married life. After he died, I had worn it. The battery had died years ago, but I wore it anyway, a cold, dead weight on my wrist that was a comforting reminder of him. It was gone, vaporized. The insurance company, a faceless voice on the phone, was polite but firm. It would take months to process my claim. Months. I had $243 in my bank account, a cell phone with a screen so cracked it looked like a spider web, and nowhere to go. The social worker at the hospital, a young woman with tired eyes and a clipboard full of other people's tragedies, gave me a list of shelters. But the thought of it, of being just another old woman in a cot, my identity reduced to a case file number, was more than I could bear. That's when I thought of Brooke, my daughter, my only daughter. The girl I raised alone after my husband, David, died when she was only 7. I remembered the funeral, how she held my hand so tightly her knuckles were white, and how I promised her then that everything would be okay, and for the most part, I had kept that promise. I worked 3 jobs for years: a nurse's aide during the day, a bartender at night, and cleaning offices on the weekends, so she could have everything I never did. So she could go to university, so she wouldn't have to worry about money. I helped her buy her first car, a little used Honda that she loved. I paid for her wedding dress, a cascade of silk and lace that made her look like a princess. I even gave them the down payment for that very house I was now standing in front of. The house with the perfect lawn and the big windows. the house that represented the stable, successful life I had wanted for her. So, standing there in the rain, shivering, my suitcase growing heavier by the second, I still had a flicker of hope. She was my daughter. Of course she would help me. I knocked on the door, the sound a little timid against the roar of the rain. Once, twice. I waited, listening. I could hear muffled voices inside, the cheerful, artificial sound of a game show on the television, the normal, everyday life of my daughter happening while mine had collapsed. 3 times. I knocked harder, my knuckles aching with the cold. Finally, I heard footsteps, and the lock turned. The door opened. Brooke stood there. She was wearing expensive-looking yoga pants and a soft gray sweater that probably cost more than my entire pre-explosion wardrobe. Her hair was in a perfect, smooth ponytail, not a strand out of place. She looked at me, and for a moment, her face was a blank canvas. Then, a series of expressions flickered across it, so fast I almost missed them. Surprise, confusion, and then something I had never seen in my daughter's eyes when she looked at me. Annoyance, a deep, weary annoyance, as if I were a door-to-door salesman who had interrupted her at a very bad time. "Mom," she said, her voice flat, devoid of its usual warmth. "What are you doing here?" I tried to smile, a gesture that felt foreign and painful on my cold, chapped lips. "Hi, sweetheart," I managed, my voice trembling, not just from the cold, but from a fear that was starting to coil in my stomach. "I need help. My house." There was an explosion. I lost everything. The words came out in a rush, a torrent of disbelief. "I just need a place to stay for a few days. Just until I can figure things out with the insurance." She didn't move from the doorway. She didn't step forward to hug me, didn't offer to take my dripping coat, didn't invite me in. She just stood there, a solid barrier blocking the entrance, like I was a stranger trying to sell something she didn't want. Her eyes darted past me, into the rain-swept street, as if she were worried someone might see us. That's when I heard his voice. Mason, her husband, a man I had never liked, a man whose smile never quite reached his eyes, but a man I had always treated with respect, because he was my daughter's choice. "Who is it, babe?" He called from inside the house, his voice laced with an impatience that mirrored Brooke's. He appeared behind her, a tall man with a paunch that strained against his polo shirt. When he saw me standing there in the pouring rain, soaking wet, holding my pathetic little suitcase, something crossed his face that I will never forget. It wasn't just annoyance, it was disgust. A visceral, unmasked revulsion. "It's my mom," Brooke said, her voice lower now, almost a whisper, as if she were ashamed. Mason looked me up and down, a slow, deliberate assessment that made me feel smaller than I had ever felt in my life. "Your mom." He said it like it was a question, like he wasn't sure he should believe it. Like the woman who raised his wife couldn't possibly look like this. Then he turned to Brooke and said, loud enough for me to hear, loud enough for the neighbors to hear through the thin walls of their suburban homes. "We can't have a homeless woman staying here, Brooke. Think about the kids. Think about what the neighbors will say, homeless woman." He called me a homeless woman. Me, Catherine Williams, the woman who raised his wife, the woman who babysat his children every single weekend for 2 years straight, so they could have date nights. The woman who lent them $15,000, money I had saved for my own retirement, when they were about to lose this very house to the bank. The word hung in the air between us, ugly and sharp. It was more than an insult, it was an erasure. It stripped me of my identity, my history, my motherhood, and reduced me to a label, a problem. I felt something break inside me. Not my heart, because hearts break slowly, with tiny cracks that spread over time, hairline fractures from small disappointments and quiet hurts. This was different. This was instant, complete, like a window shattering into a million pieces, leaving only a frame and a cold, empty space. The hope I had clung to on the bus ride here evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard clarity. Brooke looked at me one more time. Her eyes were filled with a conflict I could almost feel, but in the end, her husband's voice won. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said, and the words were hollow. "Now is really not a good time. Maybe Maybe you can stay with Daniel. Daniel, my son, the one who moved to Toronto 5 years ago and stopped returning my calls, the one who sends me a generic happy birthday mom text every year and nothing else. The one who was as emotionally distant as his father had been, a trait I had silently mourned for years. Suggesting I call him was not a solution. It was a deflection, a way of passing the burden. I just stood there in the rain for a moment longer, looking at my daughter, at the stranger she had become. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. There was no point. The click of the lock I was about to hear would be louder than any words I could say. I simply nodded, a small, stiff movement of my head. I picked up my suitcase, the handle slippery in my wet hand, and turned around. The door closed behind me. I heard the lock click. That sound, that small, metallic, final sound, was louder than the explosion that had destroyed my house. It was the sound of a door closing on my past, on my relationship with my daughter, on the person I thought she was. I walked down the driveway, my shoes squelching with every step. I could see curtains moving in the neighbor's window. Someone was watching. Someone was witnessing my humiliation, my utter and complete rejection. I kept my head held high, a last vestige of the pride I had spent a lifetime cultivating. I kept walking until I reached the bus stop at the end of the street. There was a small plexiglass shelter there, and I sank down onto the cold metal bench, the suitcase resting at my feet like a tombstone. That's when I finally let myself feel it. All of it. The loss of my house was terrible, a physical and emotional blow, but this rejection from my own flesh and blood, this was worse. This was the kind of pain that makes you question everything. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every time I chose her needs over mine. I remembered when Brooke was 6 and wanted ballet lessons so badly she cried about it every night. I was working as a cleaner at a hospital at the time, doing double shifts, and ballet was expensive. But I made it work. I took on an extra weekend job cleaning a dentist's office. I always made it work. I remembered when she was 16 and crashed my car. She was terrified I would be angry. I hugged her and said, "Cars can be replaced. You cannot." I took the bus to work for 8 long, cold months to save money for the repairs, my hands raw from the winter wind. I remembered her wedding day, how beautiful she looked, how she cried and thanked me for everything, for being her mother and her father. How she promised, right there at the altar, that she would take care of me when I got old. That promise felt like a lifetime ago now, like a line from a play I had once seen. The rain kept falling, a relentless drumming on the roof of the shelter. I was shivering, the cold seeping deep into my bones. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a weak vibration against my thigh. A text from Daniel, "Mom, I'm in a meeting. Can't talk now." I hadn't even texted him. He was preemptively rejecting me too. It was almost funny, in a tragic sort of way. My children, a united front of indifference. That's when I did something I hadn't done in 15 years. With fingers that were numb and clumsy, I scrolled through my contacts, past the names of people I no longer spoke to, past family members who felt like strangers, until I found a name I had kept, but never called. Ethan Miller. Ethan, the boy who wasn't my son but felt like one. The troubled kid from the neighborhood who I took in when his mother, a woman lost to her own demons, simply vanished. He was 13, all angry defiance and hurt eyes, getting into fights at school, skipping classes, a walking ball of rage. His foster families kept sending him back, one after another, complaining that he was unmanageable. Nobody wanted him. But I saw something in Ethan. Beneath the scowl and the tough guy act, I saw a boy who was hurting, not a boy who was bad. So I became his safe place. I told him he could have dinner at my house every night. I helped him with his homework, even the math I barely understood myself. I went to his school meetings and defended him, not because he was always right, but because he needed someone in his corner. I taught him how to cook a simple meal, how to do his own laundry, how to look people in the eye when he spoke to them, how to treat people with respect. I remembered one specific evening, shortly after he'd started coming over. He sat at my kitchen table, his arms crossed, his sullenness a wall around him. I'd made meatloaf. He just stared at it. I don't like meatloaf, he mumbled. I didn't push. I just said, okay, there's bread and cheese in the fridge if you're hungry. I went about my business, cleaning the counters, giving him space. About 10 minutes later, I saw him take a tiny, tentative bite. Then another. By the end of the meal, he'd eaten the whole slice. He never complained about my cooking again. It was a small victory, but it felt like a massive one. It was the first crack in his armor, when Brooke complained that I was spending too much time with him, that he was taking my attention away from her. I told her something I truly believed. We have enough love in this house for one more, and we did. My heart, it seemed, had an infinite capacity for children who needed it. Ethan lived with us for 3 years. He changed from a sullen, hostile boy into a young man with a future. He got a scholarship to a good university. He studied business, then finance, his mind sharp and focused. We stayed in touch for a while after he left. He called on holidays. He sent me a card for my birthday with a $20 bill inside. But life got busy. He got busy. The calls became less frequent. The emails became shorter. And then they stopped. The last time I heard about him was 5 years ago. A mutual acquaintance mentioned that he had started some tech company in Silicon Valley. Someone else said he was rich now. Really, ridiculously rich, but I never reached out. What would I say? Congratulations on your success. Remember the middle-aged woman who used to make you meatloaf? The gap between our lives had become too wide, a chasm I didn't know how to cross. But now, sitting in that bus shelter in the rain, with nowhere to go and no one to call, I looked at his name on my phone screen and thought, what do I have to lose? My dignity. I had already lost that on my daughter's porch. My pride. That had been washed away by the rain and the word homeless. My hands were shaking as I pressed the green call button. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. I was about to hang up, to accept my fate on this cold bench, when he answered. Catherine. He remembered my voice. After all these years, after all the people he must have met, he knew it was me without me saying a word. The sound of my name, spoken in his deep, calm voice, was enough to make the dam break. Ethan, I said, and my voice broke, a sob escaping my throat before I could stop it. What's wrong? Where are you? His tone changed instantly from casual to alert, a sharp edge of concern in his voice. I tried to explain. The explosion. The hospital. The feeling of having nothing. Brooke's door. Mason's words. But I kept crying, and the words came out jumbled and broken. A pathetic, rambling mess. Send me your location right now, he said, his voice cutting through my hysteria with an authority that was both surprising and comforting. Ethan, I don't want to bother you. Catherine, he interrupted, his voice firm but gentle. Send me your location. I'm coming to get you. Do not move. Do you understand me? Do not move. I understood. I fumbled with the phone, my fingers clumsy, and sent him the pin from my map. 20 minutes later, I heard it. At first, I thought it was thunder, a low rumble approaching through the storm. But the sound grew louder, more distinct, a rhythmic asterisk, WHUMP, 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 asterisk that vibrated through the bench, a helicopter. People started coming out of their houses, looking up at the sky, their faces turned upward in wonder and confusion. The helicopter circled once, twice, its spotlight cutting through the rain. Then started to descend, landing in the empty lot across from Brook Street with a deafening roar. I stood up from the bench, my suitcase in hand, not quite believing what I was seeing. The helicopter door slid open, and a man stepped out. He was wearing a dark, impeccably tailored suit, his dark hair slightly gray at the temples now, but his eyes, those eyes were the same, kind, determined, and they were fixed on me. He walked straight towards me, ignoring the gawking neighbors, the rain, the chaos. He walked as if he were walking towards a destination he had been searching for a very long time. When he reached me, he didn't say anything. He just pulled me into a hug. A real hug. The kind that says you're safe now. The kind that says I've got you. The kind I hadn't felt in years, not since my husband died. It was so unexpected, so overwhelming, that I started to cry again, this time into the expensive wool of his suit coat. "I'm so sorry, Catherine," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I should have stayed in touch. I should have checked on you. That ends today." He took my suitcase from my hand, as if it weighed nothing, and started walking me towards the helicopter. I could see Brooke's door open. She was standing there, her mouth open in a perfect O of shock, watching. Mason was beside her, looking pale and sick. The entire neighborhood was outside now, huddled under porches and umbrellas. Phones were out, recording. People were whispering. Ethan didn't care. He walked me right past Brooke's house, slow and deliberate, making sure she saw everything. When we reached her driveway, he stopped. He looked at Brooke and Mason, his expression like stone. "This woman right here," he said, his voice carrying over the sound of the helicopter and the rain, loud enough for everyone to hear, "is the only reason I'm alive today. When everyone else gave up on me, she didn't. She gave me a home when I had none. She gave me hope when I had none. She is my family, my real family, and if you ever, and I mean ever, disrespect her again, you will regret it." Brooke tried to speak. "Ethan, I didn't know. You didn't know your own mother needed help." He cut her off, his voice cold. "You didn't know she lost everything. Or you knew and you didn't care." Brooke started crying, real tears this time, not the annoyed tears of a spoiled woman but the tears of someone who had been caught. Mason looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. Ethan turned to me, his expression softening instantly. "Let's go home, Catherine." We walked to the helicopter. He helped me up the steps with a steadying hand on my back. The pilot nodded at me with a kind smile. As we lifted off, I looked down at Brooke's house, at the neighborhood, at that bus stop where I had felt so alone just 30 minutes ago. Everything looked smaller from up there. The problems, the pain, the rejection. It was all down there, and I was up here, rising above it. The flight was smooth, a stark contrast to the turbulence of the last few days. The rhythmic thrum of the rotors was a soothing lullaby after the chaos. Ethan sat next to me, holding my hand like I used to hold his when he was scared of a thunderstorm. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice still hoarse. "Vancouver. I have a place there. Actually, I have several places. You can choose where you want to stay, or I can buy you something new. Whatever you want, Catherine. Whatever you need." "I don't need much," I started to say, the old habit of minimizing my needs kicking in. He squeezed my hand. "I know you don't. That's why you deserve everything." We landed on a private helipad on a downtown skyscraper, the city lights glittering below us like a fallen constellation. A car was waiting, a gleaming black Mercedes. The driver opened the door for me like I was someone important, like I was a visiting dignitary. We drove through the city, past the glittering glass towers, past the sparkling harbor, and up into the hills where the houses got bigger and grander until we pulled up to a set of tall iron gates that opened silently, automatically. The house, no, the mansion, was stunning. It was a masterpiece of glass, steel, and warm wood, perched on the hillside with a breathtaking view of the entire city and the vast, dark ocean beyond. "This is where I live when I'm in Vancouver," Ethan said. "But I travel a lot. I want you to stay here. I want you to make it your home." A woman in her 50s came to the door, her smile warm and her eyes kind. "This is Margaret," Ethan said. "She manages the house." "Margaret, this is Catherine Williams. She is family. Anything she needs, anything she wants, you make it happen." "Of course, Mr. Miller," Margaret said, extending a hand to me. "Welcome home, Mrs. Williams." Home. The word felt foreign and familiar at the same time. It was a word I had lost, and here it was, being offered back to me. Margaret showed me to my room. It wasn't just a room. It was a suite, a large bedroom with a king-sized bed, a separate sitting area with a fireplace, a bathroom with a deep soaking tub and a walk-in shower, a huge walk-in closet, and a private balcony with that impossible view of the city and the sea. There were fresh lilies on the dresser, fluffy white robes in the closet, luxury skincare products in the bathroom I had only ever seen in magazines. "I'll have dinner ready in an hour," Margaret said. "Is there anything special you'd like? Or I can show you how to use the coffee machine for now. It's a bit finicky." I shook my head, too overwhelmed to speak. When she left, I sat on the edge of the bed and cried. Not sad tears this time. Confused tears. Grateful tears. Tears of relief and disbelief and a profound, bone-deep exhaustion, all mixed together. There was a soft knock on the door. Ethan came in with several expensive-looking shopping bags from Holt Renfrew. "I took the liberty of having some things sent over," he said, almost shyly. "I guessed your size, but if anything doesn't fit, we'll exchange it." "Ethan, this is too much," I whispered, looking at the bags, at the room, at the view. It was all too much. He sat down next to me on the bed, the mattress sinking slightly under his weight. "Catherine, do you remember what you told me the first night I stayed at your house?" I shook my head, my mind a blur of the last few days. "You said, every person deserves a soft place to land. You gave me that. You were my soft place to land for 3 years. Now let me give it to you." We had dinner together that night. Just the two of us at a long, elegant table that could have seated 12 people. He told me about his life, his business, his success. He had built a tech company that created software for financial markets, a company that was now worth billions. The angry 13-year-old I took in was now one of the richest men in Canada. But more than that, he had built a life of meaning. He had foundations that helped foster kids, just like he had been. He had scholarship programs for at-risk youth. He funded youth centers in the very neighborhood he grew up in. He had taken his own pain and turned it into a purpose that helped thousands of others. And through it all, he said, looking at me over his glass of water, "I never forgot you. I never forgot what you did for me. I'm just sorry it took me so long to come back for you. You're here now," I said, and I meant it. That's what matters. The next few days were strange and wonderful. Ethan hired a private nurse to check on me every day, to make sure my injuries from the explosion were healing properly, and that I was eating. He took me shopping, but not regular shopping. Personal shoppers came to the house with racks of clothes for me to choose from. He took me to a spa where they treated me like royalty, my tired, aching body soothed by scented oils and gentle hands. He introduced me to his friends, his colleagues, always saying the same thing. "This is Catherine. She's the most important person in my life." Slowly I started to feel like myself again. No, that's not right. I started to feel like a version of myself I had forgotten existed. A version that wasn't just mom or grandma or the woman who sacrifices and serves and never asks for anything in return. I was just Catherine. And Catherine was enough. 2 weeks after the helicopter rescue, as people online were calling it, my phone started ringing. It was Brooke. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. Finally, after the 5th call in an hour, I answered. "Mom," she said, and her voice was shaking. "Please, I need to talk to you. I'm listening. Can I come see you? Please." I gave her the address. Part of me wanted to say no. A large part of me, but another part of me, the mother part that never fully goes away, that remembers holding her as a feverish baby and kissing her scraped knees, wanted to give her a chance to explain. To see if there was anything left to salvage. She arrived the next day in her old Honda, looking small and uncertain as she walked up the long stone pathway to Ethan's mansion. Margaret showed her to the sun-filled sitting room where I was waiting, a cup of tea warming my hands. Brooke looked around, taking in the original art on the walls, the minimalist but expensive furniture, the panoramic view of the city, and I could see the calculations happening in her mind. The shock, the envy, the dawning realization of the world she had shut the door on. "Mom," she started, and then she burst into tears. "I'm so sorry. I was horrible to you. Mason was horrible to you. There's no excuse. I was stressed and overwhelmed and I took it out on you, and I'm so sorry. I watched her cry. I felt something, but it wasn't what I expected. I didn't feel anger anymore. I didn't even feel the sharp sting of hurt. I felt a deep, profound sadness. Sadness that my daughter had to see me in a mansion to realize I had value. Sadness that it took a man in a helicopter for her to see the woman who had raised her. "Brooke," I said quietly, my voice calm. "Why are you here? What do you mean?" "I'm here to apologize. I'm here to make things right." "No," I said, my voice still soft but firm. "Why are you here now? You weren't sorry 2 weeks ago when you closed the door on me. You weren't sorry when Mason called me homeless and you said nothing. You're sorry now because you see where I'm living. You're sorry because you realized I have someone powerful who cares about me. But where were you when I had nothing?" She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, like a fish out of water. "I don't know what to say, that's the problem," I said. "You should know. You should have known that day. Because I would have known. If you showed up at my door with nothing, I would have let you in. No hesitation, no judgment, no conditions. That's what mothers do. That's what family does." "I know," she whispered, her head bowed. "You're right, I failed you." "Yes," I said. "You did. Can you forgive me?" I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. She was 48 years old now, with fine lines around her eyes and gray in her hair she tried to hide with dye. When did she get so old? When did I get so old? Forgiveness isn't the issue, Brooke. Trust is. I trusted you to be there when I needed you most, and you weren't. How do I trust you again? Let me prove it to you, she said quickly, desperation in her voice. Let me show you I can be better. I don't need you to prove anything, I said. I need you to want to be better because it's right, not because you're trying to get back in my good graces, or because you're impressed by my address. She cried harder then, messy, uncontrollable sobs. I do want to be better. Please, Mom, please don't shut me out. I'm not shutting you out, I said, but I'm also not going to pretend that day didn't happen. You made a choice. Actions have consequences. Right now, the consequence is that you don't get to be the daughter you could have been. You have to earn that back. How? Just tell me how. Start by figuring out who you want to be, I said. Not because of what I have or who I know. Figure out if you're the kind of person who slams doors on people who need help, or if you're the kind of person who opens them. She left crying. Margaret asked if I was okay. I said yes, and for the first time in a long time, I meant it. The months that followed were transformative. Ethan encouraged me to explore the things I always wanted to do but never had time for. I took painting classes, discovering a love for color and form I never knew I had. The feeling of a brush in my hand, spreading vibrant paint across a canvas, was a new way of creating, a new way of bringing beauty into the world after having mine destroyed. I joined a book club, my mind reawakened by the thrill of a good story and a lively discussion. I started volunteering at a women's shelter, helping older women who had been abandoned by their families, women just like me, but without an Ethan to call. I found my voice there. These women, they needed to hear from someone who understood, someone who had lived through rejection and come out the other side. I shared my story, and they shared theirs, and together we built something beautiful. A community of women who refused to be invisible, who supported each other, who reminded one another of their own strength. There was one woman, Agnes, whose son had sold her house out from under her and moved her into a tiny room in his basement, where she was ignored for months. She was so frail, so broken. Helping her fill out the paperwork for a senior's housing application. Holding her hand as she told her story, I felt a piece of my own brokenness begin to heal. We weren't just helping each other, we were saving each other. Ethan saw the impact I was having. One day, he came to me with a proposal. He wanted to fund a program at the shelter, a program specifically for older women in crisis. When he told me he wanted to name it the Catherine Williams Foundation, I cried all over again. You changed my life, he said, hugging me. Now let's change others. We started with housing assistance, helping women find safe, affordable places to live. Then we added legal aid for elder abuse cases, then counseling services and job training for women who wanted to re-enter the workforce. The foundation grew bigger than I ever imagined, a beacon of hope for so many. News outlets wanted to interview me. The woman rescued by helicopter, the abandoned mother who became a philanthropist. I did a few interviews, always making sure to emphasize that my story wasn't unique. Thousands of elderly women are abandoned by their families every year. Thousands suffer in silence. I was just lucky enough to have someone who came back for me. One day, about 6 months after the helicopter incident, I was at the foundation's small downtown office when I got a call from an unknown number. Mrs. Williams, a crisp, professional voice said, "This is Detective Sarah Chen from Surrey Police. We've been investigating a case of elder financial abuse, and your name came up as a potential victim." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean? Do you have a daughter named Brooke Williams Patterson?" "Yes." "And did you lend her and her husband $15,000 approximately 4 years ago?" "Yes, for their mortgage. They were behind on their payments." "Did they ever pay you back?" "No, but I didn't ask them to. It was a gift." "Did you sign a document stating it was a gift?" "No, I just transferred the money from my account to theirs." The detective explained that Mason was under investigation for a series of financial crimes. They had been going through his records and found several instances where he had borrowed money from elderly family members and never paid it back, always getting them to transfer money without proper documentation, often preying on their sense of obligation or love. He had systematically drained the accounts of his own elderly aunt and 2 other women from his community. "Mrs. Williams, I need to ask you directly. Did your daughter or soon-in-law ever coerce you into giving them money? Did they ever threaten you or manipulate you?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. There were times Brooke would cry on the phone about their financial problems. Times she would mention how stressed Mason was, how the pressure was affecting his health. Times she would hint that just a little help would make everything better, that it would be a weight off their shoulders. Was that manipulation? Or was that just a daughter asking her mother for help? "No," I said finally. "They never coerced me. Are you sure? Because we have evidence that—" "Detective," I interrupted, my voice firm. "I appreciate what you're trying to do, but my relationship with my daughter is complicated enough. I don't want to make it a criminal matter." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Understood," she said. "But if you change your mind, please call me." I didn't tell Ethan about the call. But that night, I thought a lot about Brooke, about the girl she was and the woman she became, about the choices we both made. A week later, Brooke called me again. This time, she sounded different, urgent, scared. "Mom, can I please see you? It's important." We met at a quiet cafe in downtown Vancouver, neutral territory. She looked terrible, thin, tense, dark circles under her eyes that no amount of concealer could hide. The cuffs of her sweater were frayed. "Mason and I are getting divorced," she said as soon as she sat down, not even bothering with a greeting. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. "He's been arrested," she continued, her voice trembling. "Financial fraud. He was scamming people, Mom, old people. He has a gambling addiction I didn't know about. We're losing the house, the cars, everything. I had no idea what he was doing. He lied to me about everything." I reached across the table and took her hand. It was cold and clammy. She looked up, surprised by the gesture. "I believe you," I said. She started crying, quiet, ragged sobs. "Why? Why do you believe me? I was so awful to you." "Because you're my daughter," I said, "and I know you. I know you made a terrible mistake that day. But I don't believe you married a criminal knowingly. I don't believe you wanted to hurt me. The kids and I," she whispered, "we have nowhere to go. We're going to move into my friend's basement until I can find a job and save up for a rental." I took a deep breath. "Let me make a phone call." I called Ethan right there from the cafe. I explained the situation. He listened without interrupting, his patience one of his greatest strengths. "What do you want to do, Catherine?" he asked when I was finished. "I want to help her," I said. Not because she deserves it, but because I'm her mother, and that's what mothers do. But I need her to understand that this isn't going back to how things were. This is starting over, on new terms. I'll take care of it, he said. Within 2 days, Ethan had arranged for Brooke and her kids to move into a modest but comfortable 2-bedroom condo in Burnaby. Not luxurious, but safe and clean and close to a good school. He hired a lawyer to help her with the divorce proceedings, pro bono. He connected her with a job placement agency that helped her update her resume and practice for interviews. But he also made things clear to her, a message he relayed to me later. This is a one-time rescue. Your mother is helping you because she has a good heart, but she doesn't owe you anything. You work hard, you rebuild your life, and you treat her with the respect she deserves. Or this help ends. Understood. Brooke nodded, tears streaming down her face when Ethan's assistant delivered the news. Understood. The rebuilding was slow. Brooke got a job as an administrator at a medical clinic. She was good at it, organized and efficient. She started therapy to deal with the trauma of her marriage and her own complicity. She brought the kids to visit me every other Sunday, and slowly, carefully, we started to build something new. It wasn't the same as before. It would never be the same. The trust had been broken, and scars remained. But it was real. It was honest, and that was better. One Sunday, about a year after the helicopter incident, Brooke and I were sitting on Ethan's terrace, watching the sunset over Vancouver. The sky was a masterpiece of orange, pink, and purple. The kids were inside with Margaret, baking cookies, their laughter floating out to us. Mom, Brooke said quietly, I need to tell you something. I'm listening. That day, when you came to my door, I was scared, not just of Mason, but of you. I was scared that if I let you in, you would never leave. Scared that I would spend the rest of my life taking care of you the way you took care of me. Scared that I would lose myself in the process. She paused, swallowing hard. But what I didn't understand then, what I understand now, is that caring for someone you love doesn't make you lose yourself. It makes you find yourself. You taught me that, but I had to learn it the hard way. I reached over and squeezed her hand. We all learn things the hard way sometimes. I watch you now, she continued, her voice thick with emotion, with the foundation, with all the women you help, with how you've rebuilt your entire life at 75, and I'm just in awe. You didn't become smaller after what happened. You became bigger, stronger, more yourself than ever. I smiled. Sometimes it takes losing everything to remember who you are. Ethan joined us on the terrace, carrying 2 glasses of wine and a cup of tea for himself. He had quit drinking years ago, another way he had changed his life, taking control of his own story. What are we talking about? He asked, settling into a chair. How Catherine is basically a superhero, Brooke said. And for the first time in a long time, I heard genuine warmth and admiration in her voice when she talked about me. Ethan laughed, a warm, rich sound. I've known that since I was 13. We sat there together, the 3 of us, watching the sky turn from orange to pink, to a deep, velvety purple. It wasn't a perfect family. We were bruised and broken in different ways, our history littered with mistakes and regrets. But we were real, and we were together. My phone buzzed on the glass table. A text from Daniel, my son, the one who had disappeared to Toronto. It was the first time he had reached out in months. Mom, I saw an article about your foundation. I'm proud of you. Can we talk? I showed the text to Ethan and Brooke. What are you going to do? Ethan asked. I'm going to call him, I said, because he's my son. But I'm also going to be honest with him about how his absence hurt. No more pretending everything is fine when it isn't. I did call him that night. It was awkward and stilted at first. I told him I was glad he was proud, but that his silence had been painful. He listened, and he apologized. He said he didn't have a good excuse, just a lot of poor choices. We didn't solve everything in one call, but it was a start. A crack of light in a long-closed door. Good, Ethan said when I told him. You deserve honesty from everyone. The foundation continued to grow. We helped over 300 women in the first year alone. 300 women who thought they had no options, no hope, no value. We proved them wrong. I started speaking at events, elder rights conferences, women's empowerment seminars, college classes on family dynamics. I talked about my experience, about the day I stood in the rain with nowhere to go, about the helicopter that changed everything, about the foundation that gave my pain a purpose. Young people especially connected with my story. They would come up to me afterwards and say things like, "I'm going to call my grandmother tonight," or, "I never thought about how we treat elderly women in our society," or, "Thank you for reminding me that life doesn't end at 75. It can begin there too." Those conversations filled me with something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Not purpose defined by what I could do for others, but purpose defined by who I was. On my 76th birthday, Ethan threw me a party. Not a small family dinner, but a real celebration. 100 people came. Women from the foundation, volunteers, board members, friends I had made in this new chapter of my life. Brooke and her kids came. Even Daniel flew in from Toronto with his partner, trying to rebuild what he had let break. He was quiet, but he was there. There was a moment during the party when I stepped outside onto the terrace alone. The music was still playing inside, laughter and conversation filling the house. I looked out at the city lights below, at the dark ocean beyond, at the stars beginning to appear in the vast, clear sky. A year ago I had nothing, less than nothing. I had loss and rejection, and the kind of loneliness that makes you wonder if you matter at all. Now I had this. Not just the mansion, or the foundation, or the financial security. I had my dignity back. My sense of self, my belief that I mattered, that my life had value, that my story wasn't over. Ethan found me out there. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm perfect," I said, and I meant it. He stood beside me in comfortable silence for a moment, then said, "You know what I remember most about living with you?" "What?" "You never made me feel like a burden. Even when I was difficult, even when I messed up, even when I gave you every reason to give up on me, you never made me feel like I was too much. You made me feel like I was enough, exactly as I was. That's the greatest gift anyone ever gave me." I felt tears in my eyes. "That's the greatest gift anyone can give," I said. He hugged me then. This man who was once a broken boy, who was now successful and powerful and kind, who had come back for me when I needed him most. Inside, someone was calling for me to cut the cake. We went back in together, and I was surrounded by people who loved me, who valued me, who saw me. Before I cut the cake, I asked if I could say something. When I was standing in the rain a year ago, I began, my voice clear and steady. I thought my life was over. I thought the best years were behind me. I thought I had nothing left to give and nothing left to live for. I was wrong. People were quiet now, listening. The truth is, life can fall apart at any age. Dreams can die. People you trust can fail you. Everything you build can come crashing down. But that's not the end of the story. That's the middle. The end is what you choose to do with the rubble. I looked around the room at all these faces. I chose to rebuild, not the same building, but something new, something stronger, something that could help others rebuild too. And I couldn't have done it alone. I had help from someone who refused to forget me, who showed up when I needed him most, who taught me that family isn't just blood, it's choice. I looked at Ethan. He was trying not to cry. So on this, my 76th birthday, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone here who believed in me, who helped me, who reminded me that I still had something to offer this world. Thank you for proving that it's never too late to start again. Thank you for showing me that the most powerful words in any language are, "I see you, you matter, you belong." Everyone clapped. Some people cried. Brooke hugged me and whispered, "I see you now, Mom, I really see you." Daniel gave me a hesitant, but genuine, hug. The party went late into the night. When everyone finally left, when the last guest had been thanked and the last dish had been cleared, I went back to my room and sat on the balcony in the darkness. I thought about everything that had happened in this incredible, terrible, transformative year. The explosion, the rejection, the helicopter, the foundation, the healing, the rebuilding. And I realized something important. I had spent most of my life trying to be what everyone needed me to be. The perfect mother, the devoted grandmother, the woman who sacrifices and serves and never asks for anything in return. But that version of love was incomplete. It was all giving and no receiving. All pouring out and no filling up. It wasn't sustainable, and it wasn't healthy. The real lesson of this year wasn't that I needed someone to rescue me. The real lesson was that I needed to rescue myself. Ethan didn't save me. He gave me a platform to save myself. He provided the resources and the support, but I did the work. I chose to rebuild. I chose to find purpose. I chose to matter again. And that changes everything. Because now when I help the women at the foundation, I'm not doing it from a place of obligation or guilt or the need to be needed. I'm doing it from a place of strength and wisdom and genuine love. I'm helping them find their own power, not just giving them mine. Now, when Brooke brings the kids over, I'm not desperately grasping at the relationship trying to prove my worth. I'm simply present, enjoying my grandchildren, loving my daughter, but knowing that my value doesn't depend on their validation. Now when Daniel calls from Toronto, awkwardly trying to rebuild our relationship, I'm not angry or resentful. I'm honest. I tell him I missed him. I tell him his absence hurt. But I also tell him I understand that everyone has their own journey, their own struggles, their own timing. Family is complicated. Love is complicated. But they're also simple in one important way. They're choices. Every day we choose how to show up for the people we care about. Every day we choose how to show up for ourselves. I choose to show up fully, not as half a person giving away the other half, but as a whole person with boundaries and needs and dreams and the right to be treated with dignity. That's what I want to leave you with today. Whether you're 25 or 75, whether your life is exactly where you want it to be or in complete ruins, remember this: you matter. Your dignity matters. Your needs matter. And it's never too late to start choosing yourself. The people who love you will still be there when you set boundaries. The people who can't handle your boundaries were never really there in the first place. Before I finish, tell me in the comments, what would you do in my place? Have you ever been through a similar situation? Comment below so I can hear your story too. And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, turn on notifications and share this story so more people can understand the value of a grandmother. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I'm Catherine Williams. I'm 76 years old. I lost everything and found myself. And my story is just beginning.